Hi, it's Empress Rose, and welcome to our collective reading. We're going to start off with the Moonology deck here. I think I'm going to start off. Yeah, here we go. Yeah. We're starting off very quickly with the Moonology deck. And we have 4 cards here. Oh, that is fascinating. Okay, well, this one, nothing will come of this situation, void of course moon. So in a sort of karma-free period, or there's something that's been going on that is not going to end up as being very much or being a big deal or anything like that. We also have full moon in Sagittarius, so look at the bigger picture. So if it's something that you want, well, hello, Jack. You have this whole thing over here, right? Yeah. So if it's something that, it just depends, like if it's something that you really wanted and you're getting this card, nothing will come of the situation. And we'll find out more about what situation we're talking about here. So nothing will come of this situation. So that could be very disappointing, and you may need to keep your eye on the bigger picture. Like, we are making progress. This one step didn't necessarily work out. You know what? It's actually reminding me of keys on trees that we had last week, of this one key didn't work out, or this one thing didn't work out. So keeping an eye on the bigger picture. If it's something that you were worried about or scared about, this is like no big deal, it didn't happen. Refocus on the larger picture and the larger gist of your life. So looking at the bigger picture, full moon in Sagittarius, it just, to me, that means like, even if there are some disappointments here or some frustrations here, overall, where is the direction that you're going? The full moon in Sagittarius definitely has a sense of direction and a sense of moving someplace. When something is revealed and something is all said and done, just make sure that you are, you may have had to zero down on something, but make sure you pull back, see the larger picture once this thing is taken care of. So something that may seem like a big deal, either for good or bad, is not going to turn out that way, and it'll be important to refocus on the larger scheme of things or the bigger picture here. We also have a full moon in Cancer. A personal issue reaches resolution. So there is going to be, I think, some closure here about something that isn't going to end up being a very big deal after all. So just refocusing on the larger picture. Yeah, everything's going to be revealed. Everything will become very clear. And it looks like once everything is very clear, it's not going to have a huge impact on your life. New moon in Leo, confidence is your key to success. So everything that you don't know, I think there's a sense of, obviously moving confidently, and the keys on trees. Confidence is very important here, and feeling secure and feeling, if something does shake your confidence, know that it's just not, in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to be a big deal. If there's an event here that shakes your confidence or something kind of resolves itself, it's not a big deal, then, but don't have your, confidence is key to your success. So, making sure, it's so funny because it's just like the energy here is like, okay, pretty simple, honestly. Things are going to be revealed. You're going to get some closure on something. Don't let it shake your confidence. And something's not as big a deal as it originally. Maybe you were in defense mode or feeling very defensive. There is a sense of pinchiness. There's some pinching or some pointedness. But feeling secure in your abilities no matter what happens, right? Because we're not like just success vending machines where you just put in a coin. I always have to remind myself that about tarot reading and stuff like that. I'm not a tarot reading vending machine where you put in a coin and you boop the buttons and you get the exact bag you want or the exact drink you want or exactly what you want, right? There's a sense of hits and misses and not letting the misses completely shake you to your core. but still having some confidence. Yeah, you know, I'm still doing this, even though like not every painting I do is the best painting I've done so far. There will be some hits and misses in any sort of creative flow process. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. Maybe you do a painting on commission and the person doesn't like it, and it's like not a big deal, really, in the grand scheme of things. All right, I wonder how he's going to come out. I have the Crow Tarot here. No, it's not the Crow Tarot. It's the Crow Oracle by M.J. Cullinan. And I just went on a little trip, and one of these cards showed up on the trip. I mean, not the card itself, but the painting of where this card is from. I don't know if that made sense, but it's a card called Preparation. I wonder if it's around here. And it's about these crows at a ferry landing, and they drop their shellfish in preparation for the cars coming off the ferry, and then the cars drive over the shellfish. And anyway, I was at that exact ferry landing and saw the crows drop the shellfish and the cars roll over the shellfish, and there's just all these shells on the ramp, on the off ramp. So that was really fun. So that's why I grabbed this deck. So, Soar, this is beautiful. Rising above something. It has this transformative aspect, this transmutation aspect, or this, rising above something. So there may have been a difficult issue. Overall, it's not going to be a big problem. You're going to know what you need to know, see what you need to see. I think last week too, we got the knowing what you need to know, sort of results coming in, and you know what you need to know. So rising above whatever situation, and that's what I get to with this look at the big picture, is this rising above something. Like, yes, that's an issue. That is an issue that happened. But overall, we can rise above it. We can move on. We can refocus on a larger, on the bigger picture. Gifts, this is really, actually, these cards are really beautiful. It's the soaring, rising above something, stability. And there's, again, this like, building a nest, building something stable, creating stability for the future. There's a little bit of preparation, very spring vibes here. We've got a blossoming tree. We've got blossoming trees over here too. Very, very spring. I love that. Yeah, this renewal. This has sort of phoenix vibes to it, you know, rising above something, rising above the winter, rising above. Again, there's like a lot of sunshine. The way I have them laid out, we've got this Leo, which is reminding me of the sunshine in both of these. Spring, we've got spring all over, and then this Leo is looking like the sun to me. And the stability, rising above something, but there's so much stability here. So maybe something came in that was destabilizing. It reaches resolution. It's not going to be a very big deal. And maybe not as big a deal as you initially thought it was going to be. How about that? It might still be a big deal. It might still bring up some issues into your life. Definitely something brought you some issues here. It is resolvable. It is solvable, and you're going to be able to refocus and get back on your trip. It reminds me of like if you're driving along and you hear a like thump, 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 and you're like, oh no, my tire, oh my gosh. And you have to pull over and you're like, oh my gosh, this whole road trip is ruined. But it just turns out like there just was like some sort of really minor problem that got fixed very easily. And yeah, there was a delay, and yeah, it could have been a really big deal that ruined your whole trip, but it's not. So refocus on the whole trip, refocus on where you're going, and move on. It's a little like flat tire, but there was nothing really wrong with the tire. It's just a very random flat tire. So we're going to keep moving on. We're going to soar forward, and we have a bit more of a stable foundation since we've been able to fix the tire pretty easily. And then we have gifts. So beautiful, shiny objects. It reminds me, there's a relationship, and this is how you create relationships with crows, and this is how they express relationship, and their relationship with you is by bringing you gifts. We have roses. We have another key. This is so interesting to me because we have key mentioned a couple times here. And the keys on trees from the last reading are really interesting. Some coins, some safety pins. There's objects. It has to do with objects. There's, it's very physical. These gifts are very physical. These aren't metaphorical gifts. They're actual gifts, is what it feels like to me. Gifts of the heart, useful gifts. I don't know. You might be receiving some gifts. You might be giving some gifts. It could be as part of this building of stability, this rising above a situation that's just a non-situation at some point. Probably didn't feel like a non-situation though. All right, and then we have the tarot here from the bottom of the tarot deck. 5 of emotions, grief, regrets, a process of healing, a process of recovery from something. Very loud neighbor. Hold on. All right, at least she shut the door now. So, okay, her door. Anyway, she's very loud. 5 of emotions, some sort of grief process, some sort of regret. Maybe there's something you regret doing. Maybe somebody else regretted doing something. But this is part of sort of the moving on, not really moving on, but moving forward. Moving forward with everything you know, with everything you've experienced. And so that shift for the 5 of emotions is like getting back into flow after sort of this 5 of emotions in particular has a sort of frozen aspect of the body clenching that feels like more anxiety and more like stiffness maybe in your shoulders or something like that, of just like not wanting to feel something, not wanting to, like needing to hold on and hold yourself together and being very anxious about feeling things and letting your feelings and emotions flow. It's very interesting because they're just feelings. They feel so overwhelming and so huge, and allowing them to flow feels dangerous sometimes and feels unsafe, but it's not. They're feelings. They just flow through us. They're meant to flow like water, but there's some sort of frozen aspect. And this could be from something from a long time ago too, with the frozen aspect. This card always reminds me of Aang from The Last Airbender being like frozen, and then and then like coming to life and moving the avatar line forward. That's what that reminds me of. All right, past, present, inner landscape, what's at issue, environment, to-do list, possible outcome. It's interesting because I was holding the deck upside down. I realized when this card came out, but it came out in the upright, so it would have been reversed. So it's just about the process and like where you're at in some sort of process of healing and recovery. And then we have, in the recent past, we have the Fool card. We have embarking on a journey in your recent past. Risk, we have, oh my goodness, we have 0, 1, 2. Interesting. And then we have a lot of materials here. So this could be about work, about money, about finances, about housing, anything really tangible. So less about spiritual and emotional things and more about the tangibles in our lives, about the reality, which is what I was getting here too, like a lot of tangibles, touchables. So the Fool card, an opportunity, a call to action, an opportunity arose, or something happened where you were called forward into a new adventure. Perhaps it's someplace you've never been before, something you've never done before, a new thing for you, putting you back at like level 0, like Kung Fu Panda. I have no idea why all these children's cartoons, but so many. Kung Fu Panda, brilliant. The Last Airbender with Aang and Avatar, The Last Airbender, actually, and then Korra too. So brilliantly done, and such a cool way to teach kids and open up these other doors. But yeah, Kung Fu Panda, there is now a level 0. So you were at a level 0 of something. There was something that definitely called you forward. There was a bit of a risk to it. Where you were at wasn't necessarily the most fabulous place anyway. So you took that leap of faith. It was, dangerous, precarious perhaps, or felt very strange. So in the past, you have taken a leap of faith towards something. You couldn't see where it was going. You could barely even see how you were going to take the leap of faith, but you just moved in that direction, the direction that you felt called in, where there seemed to be something, some sort of brightness, some sort of new birth, new growth, something very new, and you've moved in that direction. You answered the call, and then here we have you in magician mode. You are preparing something. You are gathering the things together. Maybe we are on a road trip, and this road trip, you're like, you know what? I want to go to Yellowstone, which is my favorite place on earth. The Fool card would have been like, oh, Yellowstone. How come I've never been to Yellowstone? I need to go to Yellowstone. I love Yellowstone. Let's go to Yellowstone. Then we have the magician here. You're like mapping out the route. How are we going to do it? Are we going to fly and then rent a car? Are we going to drive all the way there? Where are we going to stay? You're making the plans, very practical, real world plans about how to go to Yellowstone. How do we get there? What do we do when we get there? You're reading the guidebooks, you're putting things together, you're making the budget, you're making if you're camping, you're making the sort of list of all the things you need and all the different foods you need. So the magician, bringing it all, you're gathering, I always call the magician the mise en place, and look, she's like working at a countertop. She's about to chop some cabbages, some vegetables. I don't know what this blue thing is, but she's going to chop it up and make the soup with it. And here she's calling in sort of the energies and like I don't know, there's always a sense of the mystical coming in with the magician as well, right? Because we're not just working with the materials. We're also working with like the magic and the energy. So we need like some heat, some fire, some inspiration as well. And here she's like, it's almost like the divine recipe we're working with, some sort of divine recipe. And maybe we're adding a couple ingredients just out of our own intuition and out of our own hunches, and like, what if I take this? So it's really, the Fool is the 0, the magician is the 1. It is really, the next step is now a little more practical, except for it is making something. It is as above, so below. As I've envisioned, so I will create in my life. As I see this, I want some fires. I want a campfire. So I'm gonna, you shouldn't bring the logs. You should buy them once you get there. So we're gonna bring some stuff to have a campfire. I'm gonna bring some marshmallows, some roasting sticks. There's a sense of envisioning the practical elements of this, and like, well, what are we really gonna do? How is this? And you don't want to over plan it. I think that's where the magician comes in, is co-creation. Like, you're planning, but you're not gonna be able to account for everything. So you got to leave some room for the magic and the planning too. But the magician is bringing it all together, creating it. And then your hopes, your fears, your inner landscape. 2 of materials. You would like to. It's a lot. Sometimes 2 of materials reminds me of like juggling a couple things. Well, I got to keep my old job, and I also have to work on my new job, or I'm creating this business. That's what the Fool could look like. It's this business idea, and then bringing all the parts together, and then realizing like, well, I've got to keep this one job for insurance purposes, or to keep my lights on while I build this other job. So there could be 2 things that are overlapping that don't necessarily mesh together. So there could be a lot on your plate. She's got some strain here while she's trying to carry these 2 roses, and she loves the roses. These roses are beautiful, or lovely. She doesn't want to drop the roses, right? She's got she's got twins. She's got them in both arms. Neither one does she want to drop, but she might be struggling to make it to the front door. Or she's got groceries. She's got for this mise en place, for this big, beautiful banquet she's creating. And she doesn't want to drop the watermelon, and she also doesn't want to drop the alcohol. So she's got to like carry them both, and there could be a little bit of strain as you try to carry this. So in your hopes and fears, this means that you're very hopeful that you can manage all of this, that this isn't too much. You are looking at something and maybe thinking that it might be too much. It might be a little excessive. You might be a little overly busy, that you've got to juggle this and that and the other thing. And can I juggle it all? And so that's what you're hoping for. You're hoping that you can handle all these different, there might be quite a few balls in the air. Like here, this magician has 4 of them, the 4 elements, and you're kind of juggling a lot of different things here. Or honestly, you could be hoping that you're juggling a lot of things. Like, oh, I hope I'm super busy. I hope that I have way too much to do and on my plate, way better than sitting here and not having enough to do on my plate and wondering, like, how, just getting all up in my head while nothing happens and I'm just standing here staring at the wall. You could be like, I would love to be busy. I'm so excited to be busy. I hope that, I mise en place, I prepared everything, and then now I'm going to turn on the heat and I'm going to cook this really fast, and it's all going to go very quickly, and I'll have my hands full, and it'll be exciting, is what it feels like. And you're hopeful that you can handle it all. What's at issue 2 of inspiration reversed? That's so interesting, because we come from 2 of materials. 2 of inspiration is like not really seeing that something's going to happen or how something can happen. Well, that's where you've got the magician. You've got this sense of like bringing the pieces together, but this 2 of inspiration has a bit of lack of faith to it, of not really seeing how this all fits together. It doesn't work on paper. Something doesn't feel like it works on paper here. Or somebody doesn't think something can happen. We have this like frozen thing that's starting to flow, and we have so much flow and movement with the Fool to the magician to materials. But 2 of inspiration is sort of like the mind coming in here and saying, well, this could never happen, or this can't work. This isn't going to work. The spreadsheet says we don't have enough time to do everything we want to do in Yellowstone. The spreadsheet says we can't afford to do this. And maybe you can't. Sometimes there's times to really listen to that spreadsheet. The spreadsheet says we didn't pack everything we needed. There could be a sense too of like wanting to wing it, just wanting to wing something and hope it all goes well. I feel like there's something in the past that you're looking at that is somehow coloring your view of what's possible. Right? We have these ideas about what's possible, and usually they're very negative, like, oh, that could never happen. And then in the alternative, our mind goes like, oh, here are all these completely unlikely negative scenarios that I'm going to be completely obsessed with. Well, that could happen, and that could happen, and that can happen. But just an equally as likely good scenario, we're like, oh, that could never happen. But we don't know. We really don't know. So there could be something here of there's a lack of faith, a lack of planning, which I don't really understand, because of the magician is here with a bunch of planning. But this 2 of inspiration in reverse seems to be like over planning, or a lack of planning, or some kind of not being able to get a good, clear vision of the future. Being maybe overwhelmed with some of the details as you're in the magician phase and pulling the things together and being sort of overwhelmed. Or this could be like you're missing a few ingredients. You're noticing that, in your little spreadsheet you made of everything you need to take camping, you're missing a couple things. Like you probably are going to want to bring some salt and pepper, but you got to go get little camping salt and pepper or something like that. There might be a few things missing off your list, off your grocery list, or off your, metaphorically grocery list. you might be missing a few things. And you're checking your list and you're realizing that not everything checks. In your environment, this is really interesting. We have 4 of emotions. A missed opportunity. Someone's really, it's an environment, it's not happy with the routine. There's disappointment in the environment. Somebody's disappointed maybe that you forgot that again, that you, well, I mean, if you're going to take a leap of faith into the future, there are things that you can't do. I want to say someone feels you might be unreliable. Or there's some kind of disappointment. There's no need for the disappointment. They just like have decided to be disappointed in something, or they're not quite sure about you. They're not quite sure they're not quite sure about something. And there could be some frustration too of a repeated cycle, or, oh, we've been here before, or, maybe there's regrets here too, like in 4 of emotions. There could be a sense of regret. There could be communication that didn't go well and someone's regretting it. Someone's regretting maybe a routine, or maybe with 4 of emotions, there's always a sense of like, it's always a question mark for me, the card is, and that bothers me. I really don't like how confused and conflicted 4 of emotions feels. So that could be what someone or a situation that you find yourself in, where there's like some confusion or some conflicted feelings, like, do I want to go forward with this, or do I stop with this? Am I disappointed in you? And there could be someone who's very disappointed with you, or frustrated with something that seems to happen a lot, or this again, or it's like a repeated cycle. And someone else may be stopping the cycle. Someone may be stopping it and being like, I don't like this cycle I have with you, and I would like to stop it. Someone could also be, I can also interpret this card as someone being just like, oh, this again. Okay, we're back where we started. There's a realization that has yet to happen for someone in your environment. Or some situation in your environment, someone you're working with, there's a realization that there's a conclusion that hasn't been come to. So like in our reading last week, someone was having some conclusions, or there were results, and this is like more like on the fence-ness. Do I go forward? There's a lot of contemplation on somebody's part that's not you. On somebody else or some sort of situation is still in contemplative mode, still trying to make a decision, still unsure. There's uncertainty of whether someone wants to go forward or try something different or do something else. So there's a lot of uncertainty here. Your to-do list is 4 of materials. Hold on to what you've got. Like, this is low risk, the lowest risk. Like if you have reserved a camping spot at Yellowstone and something else comes up, don't give up your camping spot at Yellowstone, because you won't get it again. So this is taking no risks. Like, give it up right before, or at the last minute when the cancellation period is almost over, or whatever. Like don't be canceling things before you have something else. So this is very much like accept what you have and hold on, no risk, which I really like this message for some reason. Like there's like don't take unnecessary risks right now. And this is all very concrete. You know, sometimes these messages are very like emotional, or deal with your emotions, or deal with this. This is a very real world with all the materials here. It's like, don't abandon ship. So four materials usually comes in with like, okay, you're at like $4,000 and they're like, you know, do you want to risk your $4,000 and on this next question and get $10,000 or not? And this is say like, go home with the $4,000. Like you're playing slots, you made, you know, $400 or something. I don't know. I've only played slots once, but go home with the 400. Don't keep going. Don't take more risks. So sticking with what you've got, sticking with something that's already, sticking with the plan that you already have, and taking time to like, taking a time out. It can be a little bit of taking a time out, although that's typically Four of Swords, but it also can be like a honeymoon period where loving what you have, and not taking risks for something more, loving what you have, being immersed and enjoying what is here now in front of you. And then there's so much about like 4 here too, the very solid number. I mean, we've got 2 2s, we've got 4 materials, 4 of emotions, and then this Magician, yeah, it's 1, but it's got the 4 elements here. There's something just very solid. And so not taking a risk is basically risk averse, no unnecessary risks here. Go home with the 4,000, don't risk the 10,000. Now, sometimes we do want to risk the 10,000. The Fool here took a risk, took a leap of faith, and you have done that in the past. But this reading right here for whoever it's for is no unnecessary risks. Don't give up things you don't need to give up. Maybe even don't tell people things you don't need to tell them. Don't, you know, you might have something coming up in the future and you're like, oh yeah, but don't take the time off work yet. Like, be very safe and secure in your actions right now, and stick with what you have. Stick with what you have. And what's interesting is when we end with 7 of materials, which is also, it's the patiently impatient card. We got it recently. Patiently impatient, sticking with what you have, continuing to move forward, continuing with something. No big risks is what I'm seeing here. Now, it needs, you know, take that under advisement. Like, but that's something to at least consider. How big of a risk is this? So sticking with the plan, sticking with what you've got, because something else may not work out. So with 2 materials, like, I'd like to be busy. I'm going to work on these 2 things. This is like, yeah, work on the 2 things, but don't give up your day job quite yet. And so there's 7 of materials. This is like continuing the path, continuing to work on something, even if you're not seeing results right now, even if it's not great, this is continuing on the path. And that's what I'm getting. The 2 of these next to each other are like, no unnecessary risks, no big shakeups, just keep doing your thing. Just keep doing the job, keep doing the thing. Do I love this message? Not always, but there's clearly a time and a place for it. Like, you know, I like risks, and I like faith and trusting the universe and throwing yourself on the into the brink for the universe, and following your intuition, even though I love all that. I love that storyline. So this feels a little like, stay home, like what you got. Don't take big risks. No big moves for this week right now. Stability. Yeah, that's it. Stability. That's your focus right now. Stability. You will be rising above a situation, but stability and gifts too, like what you have, giving what you have. There's something about gifts here. Like, how can I pull? I feel it. I feel it. These cards are about, well, it's about material things. And these are material things, but there's a sense of stability. This 4 of materials, the 7 of materials, stability is your goal right now. And so, you know, maybe not necessarily like all the topsy-turvy things you may go through. Like, if you're on a bit of a roller coaster, I don't think you need to be, you can let the roller coaster do the roller coaster thing. You can be stable. You can be like, yep, this and then that and then this and then that. You can be stable, and you can create stability for the people you love and the people around you. You don't necessarily need to take everybody on some sort of roller coaster. Although I'm not really seeing a roller coaster here. I'm feeling like just kind of maybe you've been on a roller coaster and the roller coaster ends. It was a bit of a ride, but it's not a big deal. It's just a roller coaster. It wasn't a life or death experience, although maybe you felt like it at times. There's, looking at the bigger picture, patience, stability, I think is. And maybe there's people doing things around you and having big shakeups and big moves, but be confident. Your stability is actually valuable right now. I'm going to say stable spring. Not the most exciting thing, but oh, okay. Just as I was saying that, let's see if we can get one more out of this deck. No, that's it. So stability is the name of the game right now. But then, just to throw a fun little wrench in here, we've got electric eel spirit, bring your ideas to life. But that's the magician. That's the magician here, bringing your ideas to life. The electric, like maybe you're not cooking with fire. Maybe you have an electric stove, right? So bring in the electricity, that sort of mysterious element that brings life to things. So electric eel, bring your ideas to life, but it's slow and steady wins the race. Stability, creating a stable environment first, now is not the time for huge risks, but bringing your ideas to life. And we have that with the magician. So I guess this isn't really saying like just hunker down and don't do anything. This is like, do things, but not in a massive risk. Like bringing your ideas to life, bringing some things to life and sparks and all of that, but into a very stable situation. Like before you turn on the electricity to your new house, make sure the electrician checked everything out and everything's to code and everything, and you've checked everything off your list. Like make sure that that's done. And then, do bring the electricity and bring it. But make sure we don't need to take risks with the electricity. It's electricity, it can kill us. So we don't need to take risks with it. All right, and then a feather. Actually, I like to do it this way. Can I do it this way? All right. This one, you think? All right. Falcon. Oh my gosh. Use your keen perception and skill in making decisions. Do not delay. Wow. And bring your ideas to life. Very direct energy. But we have this whole risk-averse stability thing, but then we also have this incredibly direct energy. So we're combining those two. We're juggling those two things. The stability with also some like very direct, quick. I think you might have to make some quick decisions. Decision making, keen perception. You might have to make them very quickly about some sort of project or something that you're bringing to life. Anyway, I hope that was helpful for you. Thank you so much for joining me for this reading, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. Bye.